Well, time now for another check of your forecast. Brittany has the latest on the impacts Erin will bring to the Carolinas. Brittany?
Yeah, going to be indirect impacts, thankfully. No direct landfall expected, Tradisha, but certainly going to see little impacts near the immediate coastline. Right now, the storm is still 1,000 miles and change away from Charlotte area, but we are going to see impacts really starting for the coastline as early as Tuesday night. Erin is a monster Category 4 hurricane right now with sustained winds of 130 miles an hour. Now, if you've seen online, which we've talked about this as well right here on WCNC Plus, but of course you know what happens. Everything also gets posted on the internet. The storm has been going back and forth essentially between a Category 3 and Category 5 for the last 24 to 48 hours. This is really common, especially with larger storms. They go through what's called an eyewall replacement cycle. We'll see the eye start to get smaller and then larger again. Essentially what's happening is it's collapsing upon itself and growing in wind field. So when this happens, the storms get larger, they start to move a little bit slower and temporarily see weakening before the wind field expands and then they're able to regain strength. So that's one of the reasons why on the intensity scale you'll see some teeter-tottering back and forth at least for the next 2 days, and then we'll eventually start to see that storm dissipate to a Category 1 by the end of this week. Again, still consistent data showing that the storm is going to stay out to sea based on a split between two high areas of high pressure, allowing for the storm to head north and eventually north and east. Now the actual path here shaded in black. I'm going to show you this here in just a second. One of the misinformation things that I've seen a lot on social media is the fact that Erin is shifting south and west and how that's, quote, a problem, end quote. Now, the storm has shifted a little bit south and west, which is absolutely true, but that's not a problem and it doesn't deter away from what the National Hurricane Center's track has been. In fact, if you look at the previous forecast, there's been plenty of tracks that actually have been further south than they are right now. And then even the next one here, you can see has shifted a little bit further west. That doesn't change anything about the fact that the storm center is still staying off the coast of the Carolinas, and we are going to see indirect impacts, but no direct impacts. By again Tuesday, we'll start to see those elevated wave heights. High rip current risk starts tomorrow, especially for South Carolina. We'll see near the immediate coast wave heights at about 10 to 15 and offshore, of course, about 15 to 20. So this certainly is not a week that any folks should be out on small crafts, anything like that, as Erin, of course, is going to be just a few hundred miles away from some of our coastline. And then eventually that's heading up the eastern seaboard. And we can expect coastal areas in New Jersey, Delaware, places like that to still see elevated wave heights as well from Wednesday through the end of the week. Now, potential tropical storm force winds really only for the Outer Banks of North Carolina. And most of those winds are going to be wind gusts. So not expecting a lot of sustained winds of this nature, but notice by Wednesday night, there's Hatteras, there's Kill Devil Hill, seeing 30 plus. There's where the tropical storm force is expected to be Thursday morning as it makes its closest proximity and then pulls away from those areas. So one of the reasons likely why Dare County did go ahead and put that evacuation in place. So again, high rip current risk all across the eastern seaboard, really starting tomorrow for us here in the Carolinas. But again, that goes all the way up the East Coast. So if you have friends or family in that area, make sure they're staying weather aware. Lots of warm air in the mid-levels of the atmosphere right now, so we have a ton of ground clutter on radar, but nothing is actually producing rain. We're only seeing a few showers possible tomorrow afternoon, mainly south of the Charlotte area, and kind of a rinse-repeat forecast heading into Tuesday as well. Of course, the big weather story nationally and across really a lot of the world is going to stay Erin over the next few days, but I just want you guys to know here locally, we have nothing to worry about with this storm, but if you have friends or family near the coast, again, make sure they're staying weather aware for the rip current risk, the beach erosion, the wave heights, and of course the gusty winds. Here's that 7-day forecast. Panthers back at home on Thursday, expecting some scattered storms. The heat and humidity sticking around before we're slightly cooler by this weekend.